So look at this. This guy, listen to what he has to say. This guy's from the European Union. Watch this.
Europe is a garden. We have built a garden. Everything works. It's the best combination of political freedom, economic prosperity, and social cohesion that the humankind has been able to build. There's three things together. The rest of the world, and you know very well, Federica, is not exactly a garden. The rest of the world, most of the rest of the world, is a jungle. And the jungle could invade the garden. And the gardeners should take care of it. Should take care of the garden, but they will not protect the garden by walls, by building walls. A nice small garden surrounded by high walls in order to prevent the jungle coming in is not going to be a solution, because the jungle has a strong growth capacity and the wall will never be high enough in order to protect the garden. The gardeners have to go to the jungle. The Europeans has to be much more engaged with the rest of the world. Otherwise, the rest of the world will invade us.
That doesn't sound paranoid or xenophobic whatsoever.
Supremacist in any way? No.
Or supreme. He's a high representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, vice president of the EU Commission.
Wow.
Look at that. He also has a blog. And so the rest of the world is a jungle.
Yeah, the garden needs to go out and slash and burn it.
That's right. The gardener's got to go
Gardens
out.
of soy, I guess.
So he's already apologized for the garden versus jungle metaphor, but he's standing his ground.
Oh, good.
Yes. He says some have misinterpreted the metaphor as colonial Eurocentrism, Borrell wrote in a blog post on Tuesday evening. I am sorry if some felt offended. Again, not that he offended, not that that terminology was messed up, but that, sorry if you're messed up and that bothered you. But he did not reject the figure of speech and instead doubled down on it, arguing the term jungle is an apt illustration of the lawlessness and disorder that currently rules world politics.
That's even worse than if it wasn't just a base racist thing.
Yes.
That's even worse. So that means the natural state of the world has to be turned into some artificial garbage thing that they control. That's what that means.
That's what that means.
Yeah.
Borrell appeared to refer to the European Union ambassadors as gardeners and urged them to go to the jungle. That is to carry out their diplomatic work around the world and advance the bloc's geopolitical agenda.
And bring back some of the most youngest, tender flowers from the jungle for our parties.
Yeah, you know, like they did in Libya. How's that garden growing these days? Like you did in Syria and Libya, Afghanistan. How's that garden growing you're doing in Ethiopia right now? How's the garden growing in Somalia? How's all that garden growing you're doing in Yemen? How's that garden growing doing? How's the garden growing you're doing in Venezuela? Over the weekend, the garden versus the jungle metaphor gained traction across social media, fueling backlash against the diplomat for what many saw as condescending, out of touch, and racist undertones. You think as a stark reflection of the Western sphere's superiority complex over the global South. Mark Bodenga, a Belgian member of European Parliament from the left, said Borrell's words were rooted in colonialism and racism. On Monday morning, when asked about the growing criticism against his remarks, Borrell said he was very okay, and that every day is as much as intense as the previous one. By Tuesday evening, as backlash continued, the diplomat, who is affiliated with the Socialist Party, offered a careful apology, but stood his ground and stuck to the metaphor. This metaphor of the garden and the jungle is not my invention. Some truly dislike it because, among others, it has been used by U.S. neoconservatives. But I am far from this school of political thought, he wrote in his
We need to have the jungles not be gone. Just, it's not even a good place to start. So I never liked the swamp metaphor. You like the thing that filters water, the vital part of the ecosystem. You're going to call them the swamp,
Right?
a thing that we shouldn't drain. It's a problem to do that.
Borrell said Europe had managed to replace centuries of war with lasting peace.
In the garden, he means.
In the
not
garden.
The jungle.
That's
They
right.
outsourced it to the jungle.
That's right.
Okay.
Cooperation and the rule of law. See, they're the civilized people. While other countries outside the continent, such as Russia, were resorting to force, intimidation, and blackmail to get their way. The United States has 1,000 military bases around the world. How many does Russia have? Who is the terrorist in the world? The West is. The West is the world's terrorist. We set the Middle East on fire. We did Iraq. We did Libya. We're committing a genocide in Yemen, Somalia, Ethiopia, Syria.
Hey, keep it out
Afghanistan.
Of the neighborhood. Keep it in the jungle.
That's
Don't
right.
sell
Keep it in the
around here
jungle.
in the nice neighborhood.
I also have enough experience to know that neither Europe nor the West is perfect. Oh, that's his way to... But we're better than those fucking animals.
No garden's perfect, but it's better than a natural jungle.
That's right. He's saying we're not perfect and that some countries of the West have at times violated international legality. Oh, thanks for that's very big of you to admit that.
What if he said at times obeyed international law, that would be a better use of at times.
At times.
At times they don't violate it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that when he yelled this about saying Europe is not nor the West is perfect, and that some countries in the West have at times violated international legality, it's unfortunately he was forced to shout those comments so that he could be heard over the roar of U.S. armored vehicles going into Haiti.
Oh, I thought it was the roar of angry protesters shouting over a deaf person at him.
Yeah, or maybe it was the tanks that we provided to the Nazis in Ukraine. Here's some. Want to see some scenes from the garden? Here's French protesters calling for nationwide general strike over soaring inflation. Look at the people in the garden. They're not so happy with the garden. Turns out they're not so happy with the garden.
Well,
yeah,
spray them with Roundup, I guess.
Well, huh? So there you go. Now you know why the people in the global South and in the Middle East and everywhere should be afraid of what the European Union.
That guy, he should be like dressed in a robe with like a goat head thing on top. That's the kind of guy he is.
Yes. Hey, we're going to see you in Miami, West Palm Beach, Denver, Palm Springs, Austin, Burbank. That's right. The Saturday after Thanksgiving here in Burbank, and lots of dates in Los Angeles in December. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all our tickets and join our premium program when you go there too.